Leafs talk. JD Bunkis, Sam McKee. Leafs lose their third straight hockey game, but they grab a point against the Boston Bruins. Leafs lose to the Bruins in overtime. Didn't give any flashbacks whatsoever. It's totally fine.
And did Pat, like, I came right to the screen, right? I did the classic sour TV off straight downstairs situation. Did Pasternak poke it in or Marchand? Which one of them was it?
Marchand, I think, ended up getting it, but I'm not
I couldn't even. I was just so sour. It was a turn off the TV, walk down the stairs situation. Yeah. 3-on-3 sucks. 3-on-3 it's really jumped the shark where it's just possession, and then no one's moving their feet. And then all of a sudden you have David Pasternak and Brad Marchand bearing down on you on a 2-on-1, and Stolarz makes an unbelievable save. Like just a 10 out of 10. If he keeps that out of the net, that's one of the moments of the season, early season. The Leafs go on to win. It's huge. Anyways, they end up shoveling it in. But the giveaway by Matthews, and I'm sure you want to get into this here, but the thing that jumps out to me there is after they have an offensive zone face-off, I can't believe they didn't change there. They go out for the first little bit of the overtime. They're breathtaking. They're excellent. They get a good change on the fly, continuing with the possession with Willie and whatever. And then they go right back to Matthews and Marner off of the possession with Willie, which I loved. I was like, that's the right call. You have possession. You guys both had a great shift, but then the puck goes down and then they end up getting another offensive zone draw. And there was a whistle. And to me, it was too risky to leave them out there. They get caught, and Austin Matthews makes an absolute tired brain decision where he's been playing defense 3-on-3 for minute and 30, 2 minutes, where he can't decide what to do. And Berube's got to pull him off and put somebody else out there to get that draw. Even if it's Tavares for the draw, I know he's slow, but somebody, so that you can get the possession and give them a little bit more of a blow there, because they overextended and it costed you the game. That's what I saw on that play. I thought it was a bad decision to leave him out there on that draw.
He obviously had tired brain. It's a bad turnover.
Extreme tired brain.
Yeah, but you're right. Stolarz just about made what would have been the save of the season.
Absolutely.
He's like clipping his legs together and almost kept it out. 30 saves for Stolarz tonight. That one would have been his prettiest. I'm just looking at the ice time. Yeah, Matthews played almost 24 minutes tonight with overtime.
Yeah.
I thought the theme of tonight was actually, it was very much back to team A, team B.
Big time.
You want to use the Bruins game as a measuring stick, right? And it's funny. I talked to our friend DJ Bean on Friday about this matchup, and he's like, in Boston, they're in a 3-game losing streak. You don't panic until you lose to the Leafs. That's the way that they view it. Yeah, it's
great.
It's insulting. It's embarrassing. That's the way that their fan base looks at it. It's not a rivalry in Boston, and you're looking for things that are going to feel different and things that give you a little bit of optimism in the matchup. It was two desperate teams, right? Two teams, one avoiding a 3-game losing streak, one avoiding a 4-game losing streak. And I think that my major takeaway from it was, it's awesome they got the point. It was a great pass by Marner. Nice find from Tavares before that. Yeah. Class finish by Matthews, and those guys deserve credit for that play. I think Marner had some really good moments in this game, but boy, man, did you notice anybody other than the top 6 guys? They loaded it up for the third period. They let him go get it. And before the empty net, shots were 10-2 with the lines loaded up. Yep. The Leafs were just very perimeter oriented. Frankly, I don't think they deserved the point tonight. I think their goaltender kept it in it. Their stars made a few spectacular plays, but if you're talking about the full 60 tonight, it's pretty unimpressed, to be honest. The score was not reflective of the result.
I got to tell you, I agree. I don't want to do agree boys here, but this felt way more like the Blues and Columbus game than people will remember. This had its moments where what do they have? There's 17 shots through the halfway through the third period here.
Buddy, before the Leafs pulled their goalie, shots in the third period were 10-2. Yeah.
And for the whole game, they had 17 halfway through. Anyways, they weren't generating a lot. I thought it was pretty, for lack of a better term here, feeble. Just not a lot of physicality outside of Oliver Ekman-Larsson a couple times. They weren't play. I keep thinking about that game on Monday night, and I just can't stop thinking about the way they played in that game. And it's why can't that happen? Not like that, but a version of that where there's the physicality involved. It's the straight lines. It's the puck support. It's the back pressure. It's all this stuff. it felt so blah for a lot of the game. And it just like checkouts. And I don't know, man. It doesn't feel good right now. And is it somebody like, is it, them getting used to Berube's system? Is it like a learning curve here? Is it breaking old habits that these guys have had for a long time? I don't know what it is, but right now it's not really an enjoyable watch. And it feels like you said, they were lucky to get a point tonight. Like the Stars made brilliant plays. 2 passes tonight from Marner, the one to Riley where he snaps it in the top corner, and the one cross ice to Matthews is an absolute dot. All world skill plays. Like you said, that's why you pay however much for those guys, because you get a point with those skill plays. But like outside of that, I couldn't tell you one moment in this game. They almost won it in regulation where Laurent butchers it around the net, but I couldn't tell you much else. I really couldn't.
To me, one of the major issues is that the star players are still playing big time perimeter hockey. Like outside of Knies, again, when they loaded up the top 6 tonight in the third period and they just couldn't get anything going, they can't get to they're not getting to the net. They're not getting to high danger areas. Like Matthews gets there and he finishes one on a broken play. Sure. Beautiful pass by Marner, but that's where the goals need to happen. And they're far too perimeter oriented. And the first few games, I thought that we were really kind of gassing them up. It was like you mentioned, the straight lines and the forechecking, and there was a lot of discipline, and I thought better D zone coverage. Like there's a whole bunch of different stuff, right? And goaltending, all of it. But the thing that's kind of bothering me that feels too familiar is just like these guys are way too happy to play on the outside. And a team like Boston that takes away the middle of the ice time and time again with their size, physicality, and discipline will allow you to be out there, know that Swayman's not going to let in bad ones, and then pounce when they get their opportunities and just kind of press you. And so that's just what I saw tonight is you're facing the Bruins team, and it just didn't feel like they were able to get into those areas that we've been crying for them to get into and that Berube wants them obviously to be in. And it just wasn't enough. Yeah, a lot of penalties tonight, right? Like a lot of dumb penalties that I thought killed momentum and really stifled any opportunity for them to just sort of get into a flow of a game. But ultimately, just when they were out there and those stars were all put together, it's just pretty much Matthew Knies that feels like a bully in front of the net, and then everybody else is just sort of out there.
Yeah, you really do hope that the start of this season where they play great against, you look back at some inferior competition here, like they beat the Penguins. Devils are good. They beat the Kings, who are okay or whatever. Like you hope that this, like the trying to impress the new coach hasn't worn off after 9 games here.
I don't think that's the case. I just, when you said when you say the old habit stuff, I just think that's real, man. Is like these guys are 8 years into their career now. It's not going to be an overnight process. I'm sure they'll have games where they show the flashes for the positivity, like you saw in the Tampa, and then the negative stuff. But to me, it's just like a style of play issue that remains with all of those guys. It's honestly one of the major things with the power play again, where Leafs get a very short 5-on-3. That doesn't like they get a couple of chances on the 5-on-3, but then it goes into a normal power play. It's nothing. Yeah. But what is it again? It's just all guys. Where do they all want to be? The perimeter, except for Tavares, who will play in front of the net, where he's not
shoveling it into the crest.
Yeah, like he's just not great at it. So I don't know. I just think that these guys got to commit to go to those spots. I think that there's only a couple of them that can do it. One of them doesn't, and he was probably their most effective player tonight. And yeah, just kind of a same old story. I don't think they deserved a point. It was exciting to see them get it. I always root so hard for the Leafs when they're in Boston because I think of the fans that are there that have the guts to go into TD Garden.
I know. And you see a few of them tonight. I saw those 2 guys with the flag. I'm like, you guys are.
I'm like, you're the bravest souls. You're the bravest souls. You just continue to take the whippings. Like you got nothing to stand on in that arena. Even if you win the game, the Bruins fans are going to berate you with playoffs.
Yeah, like you just won it. What's the enjoyment? Like we won. It's like you literally have never beat us in an important game ever.
But who cares? It just still I root for that to like basically ease off the beatdown that they're taking that evening. And obviously I want to see the Leafs play well. And I just this is 3 in a row where I would say that this has been pretty lackluster, buddy. Like this is now 2 measuring stick games that I think count a little bit more, and it's not been great. So I guess we'll see here during the week. But yeah, woof. I don't have too much positive to say about this game tonight.
one of the calling cards of the Sheldon Keefe era of Toronto Maple Leafs hockey was not only their ability to bounce back from bad games, but their avoidance of long losing streaks.
Yep.
Like they really, they had a few, and there was a start of the year a couple times and they weren't great. I remember that one. Our first like really big Leafs talk we ever did was that one where they lost to Anaheim in overtime. Remember when that Dust Stahl made like 58 saves and they were unbelievable. That was kind of a bad start. And they've always had shaky starts over the Keefe era, but they've never gone into like long 5, 6, 7 game losing streaks because they have a lot of great players, and ultimately that ends up happening. But you got, I don't know if the Flames game and the Jets game has ended yet. I don't know. I wasn't watching that. I was flicking back and forth.
Yeah,
the World Series.
I think the Jets won up 5-3. They won 5-3.
So you have now, you just played Boston, and now you're potentially going into, I'm just looking at the score here. Yeah, the Jets ended up winning. So they're 8-0. They are 8-0 in that building. That there's no one that loves playing the Leafs more than the Jets fans. Like the Jets fans, the Jets, everybody, that whole core. There's that weird like North Division rivalry thing where they were like really hot after each other. You're talking about measuring stick games here. That's another massive one. That's a big game on Monday night, and I think it's on Amazon again. So maybe the Leafs will win because it's on Amazon. So maybe that'll be good for them. But
maybe that's what they care about.
This is going to be a really sort of nerve-wracking stretch of hockey for Leaf fans. Like it really is. We're used to a certain standard here.
I don't think it is.
You don't think so? You just don't think they care. You think they're just checking out?
No, I think that most people are already in their corners. Like I think that most people, it's like politics where you've made up your mind about the core four and you're probably not going to shove off of it. That there's going to be, it's going to zig and zag between the two sides of this, where some people think that you got to stick with the talent and they'll blame it all on Tavares, and they'll say once Tavares comes off the books, you can re-sign Marner and sort of run it back and hope for the better. And then there's going to be the other faction, which is this isn't working. It's never going to work. You got to let Marner walk, even though it's painful to lose a player for nothing, and try a different formula. And that throughout the regular season, it's just basically going to be a lot of back and forth between the two sides, unless it's something like truly cataclysmic, right? Where they're outside of the playoff run. But I just think ultimately there's too much talent on this team. Yeah. We've seen what it looks like when they play well, like the Tampa game, and ultimately it's not going to happen. Plus, I got a couple positives from this game. I guess I'll break up some of the negatives. Yeah, the goalie is too good for them to be bad. I think like he is the real deal. He just was awesome again tonight, made a bunch of saves. Another night where you can't pin one on him. I don't know if he's had one yet this season where you go, oof, you wish you had that one back. Like,
no,
has he?
No, not really. I'm just like, I thought he was, I got to tell you, like I've fallen for this guy so hard. Both of us we've been on Stolar's Island from day one. We're powering our house with Stolar power over here. We're all over it. But
you saved that one, eh? You never workshopped that one with you before the show.
Some guy DM'd it to me and I stole it from him. So
nice.
Whoever that guy was, thanks. I stole it.
Bud.
I told him I'd pitch it to JD, and then I just ended up using it.
I like it actually.
Power. Yeah, me too. I like Stolar Power is really good.
Yeah, Stolar Power. I'm into.
I'll search through my DMs when you're talking, so I can give him credit. But I was like, the starting goalie's in that tonight. You know, like you watch him play, you're like, he's big, he's moving around great again, he looks awesome. He's the starting goalie, and I'm happy he's in there. Yeah. And I never felt that way with Wall on Monday, and I'm sure that we'll get there when he gets back to full health. I obviously didn't feel that with the Beast against the Columbus Blue Jackets, but this guy is the Leafs starting goalie, and Monday night against the Jets, it better be him in net.
Gotta be.
Right? Like it's just he's the starting goal. You ride him. He's been really good, and Wall was shaky. It's a clear 1A backup situation here, and Wall is the backup until further notice.
See, I think that they're still going to stick with their plan to a certain degree. And again, it's busy stuff, and they don't want to overdo the workload. But I think you need to try and put your best foot forward to break this streak and take pressure off your team. And the way you do that right now is by playing Stolarz. I don't even really see a case to play Wool on Monday night like that one. If Stolarz loses again, then I'd say you go to Wool. But right now it's got to be Stolarz in the net. Another
just to give credit for the Stolar power.
Yeah.
Fink, the Finkster. Thanks, bud. Fink. That's the guy who DM'd it to me on Twitter. So nice. Finkster. Thanks, bud.
Yeah.
Stole the power.
I hope this guy, I guarantee you this guy stole it from somebody else. And now he stole
My
it.
DM's going to be
The
like,
Finks-
I told the
yeah,
Finkster.
The Finkster stole that one first. Another positive for me is that Jake McCabe just looks really good, man. Like really, really good. I don't know what is going on, if he's like super motivated by the contract. It's not like I ever had bad Jake McCabe takes. Even I've always been in his corner as a good defenseman, but it's like this guy is rock solid and just playing with a different level of confidence. Like the way he's jumping up in the rush right now feels effective. Like it doesn't feel like he's making a ton of mistakes. He's still playing with snarl. He's not making the, you and I have always liked his game, but we've always said every once in a while he gets a little too off the rails and he has just a bad penalty or bad play. And I'm just not seeing a lot of that either. And I just wanted to note his play because I feel the most confident right now. And this is a team with Chris Tanev, who you and I both like, but I feel, and they've played him together too, but I feel most confident right now when Jake McCabe's on the ice, not Chris Tanev. Dead serious.
No, I like it. I like that take. It's fine. I think he's been awesome. And I don't know if he's like, obviously he works in the summer, but has he been working on his hands and working on his touch and working on his offense in the offseason?
He just looks good.
Because he's smooth. Well. He feels way smoother with the puck this year than he has in the prior years here. He's just playing really well. And, you project forward to playoffs, insert Jim Mora playoffs, but you project forward to playoffs, assuming the Leafs are there after their shaky start. You could actually picture Chris Tanev and Jake McCabe as like a shutdown kind of pair, where you put them up against the other team's top guys. And listen, if you're playing against Boston in the first round or Tampa in the first round or Florida in the first round, it'll be one of those three teams because thanks, Gary, sick league you got going there. 6 months death march to play one of the three best teams in the league. Anyways, I digress. They could go up against a good top line and actually have a pretty decent chance of coming out on top. So I like that pairing, but you're right. Jake McCabe's probably been, to me, their best defenseman outside of all of Rekman Larson's had some flashes, but all in all, I think it's McCabe.
More positive talk for me. That's now 4 goals for Matthew Knies. It's a play where Matthews wins a battle, a good play for Matthews. 4 guys on the Bruins sort of just puck watching here. This was very un-Boston Bruins-y to see this, but Knies just bullies his way to the spot. And this is kind of what I'm talking about the dudes who will go to the areas. This is where the goals happen and the 2 guys go there and it happens. And then you're like, okay, good. Do more of this, guys. And then they didn't. The rest of the game. Basically the rest of the game, they avoided it like the plague, even though they found some success there. But I love this guy's sense around the net. It's why he should be playing on a different power play unit when they finally give this thing a shakeup. And there's just notable moments throughout every single game where, whether it's him on the forecheck where he doesn't give up on plays and you can tell the pressure that he's putting on defensemen, whether it's his relentlessness around the front of the net, he literally reminds me of, this is so cliche, but the puppy with the big paws, where he's just always trying to take on bigger guys and he's not afraid of being in those spots and those areas and mixing it up. I really like his game. He just continues to feel like he's blossoming into a real core player for this organization.
Absolutely. No question. And that goal reminded me, it was eerily similar to the goal he scored in overtime in game 5 against the Bruins, where he crashes. I think that might've been the same net, same end of the ice. He just crashed right to the front, hammers it home. And listen, he's huge. He's was he 6'3", 240, 230? He's a massive guy and he's got the ability, and it really feels, the big thing for me with him this year is last year there was moments where it felt like he didn't know how big he was and how strong he was. And it really feels like to me, watching him through the start of this season, that he's starting to realize he's like, oh, okay. I'm bigger and stronger than a lot of these NHLers and I can impose my will on these guys. And he's going to the right spots and he's getting rewarded now. And like you said, 4 goals already, right? Tied with Matthews. He's been an integral part of that line. He is awesome. I am so impressed with him. He's improving every game. Absolutely improving every game.
I did. I did think that the top line did bring more than they have brought.
I think they're +3 or plus. Wow, the overtime they would have gone down one.
Yeah, but whatever. That's a fake one. The overtime. Overtime.
Does that count? I was going to say. I don't know if it does or not.
I honestly don't know. But either way, those guys. If you're looking for the biggest positive, it's those guys seemed way more engaged tonight and played a much better brand of hockey, more responsible hockey. Negative. you and I disagreed with who was at fault on the goal that ends up, I think it was the third goal of the game for Boston, where it's a Myers behind the net. He whips one around and it bobbles. I can tell you who the coach thought was at fault. It was Bobby McMann. Who
didn't play again.
To the bench after the play.
Well, he played again, but not much.
No, he barely played in this game, and he was immediately taken off that line. And they essentially, this is the turning point moment of the game, obviously. Oh, sorry, this was that's the next one.
This is right. Yeah. No, this is right. That was it. That was the play. No. If you're watching on YouTube, this is it. The one where Myers hammers it around here. And listen, watching it again, it's obviously a mistake by Bobby McMann, but anybody who's ever played any hockey will tell you that play where it's rimmed hard along the boards, you got to bear down. It's a tough play, but Myers that's an absolute grenade. Like he's scared of getting hit. He doesn't want to turn the puck over. He just rims it as hard as he possibly can right along the dasher. You got to dig it out. You're an NHLer, but like, I don't want Myers to not have any fault in that either. Like it's a tough play from him, but yeah, Bobby McMahon stapled. And I guess that's the guy that you're going to show, the quote unquote accountability against, the guy that you scratched in the first game.
But that's
you just sat him down. Like you just sat him down.
This is like my overarching main story of the game that I brought up off the top of the show is tonight was the most it felt like Team A and Team B.
Yep.
And it just so happened to be a game against the Boston Bruins.
Yep.
And again, everyone, if you bring up anything like this, some people will label you as just being panicky. I just don't know how you could feel reassured with what's going on right now over the last couple of games, especially again, the way that they've responded in a few of these games. And I thought, again, some lack of physicality tonight, some lack of purpose, and just the feeling of if it's not Matthews's line over the boards, it doesn't feel like they're going to score. Like it just, it's the way I felt all night long. Wait for Matthews shift. You got to wait for Matthews shift. I actually thought that Reeves in the fourth line had some good moments on the forecheck.
Yeah,
where
I think he did probably played 8 minutes or whatever, but like he was causing a bit of havoc on his shifts. Like he's running into guys. He was giving you a fourth line effort, but
the middle six was just sort of non-existent for most of the game. And like the only times you were noticing guys is like, oh, Robertson, he had a couple shots early, I guess, but it's like he's taking a bad penalty. He's tripping his door off. He's like,
move your feet. God. Like that must have drove Berube crazy.
Yeah.
Like I'm not going to pick on him, whatever. Like I thought he had his moments in this game. The bottom six barely played in the third period.
Yeah.
But when he gets a shift out there, gets on the wrong side, stops moving his feet, gets reaching into the toes of a big guy, and he goes right down. It's like Berube must have just been losing his mind. You see him look down at the it's like, that's not a good one. It's funny. I wonder, I don't know if we want to do this now, but what is old Timothy Liljegren got to do to get into a game? Like the lily pad, Philip Myers, sure. I guess maybe you're worried about the Bruins having a really good power play and he's a good penalty killer and you're looking for a matchup or whatever. But I mean, they're just trying to protect the asset and not getting them hurt because they've got a trade going, a trade imminent. Elliott's talking about him them working on something in the intermission there.
Yeah.
It's like, I mean, you can't play him in this game. Like I know, I guess the Bruins aren't a good matchup for him, but you're going to play Philip Myers, who, is a total suitcase wearing 51, giving me Gardner vibes out there. Oh my God. I was like, just splashing cold water.
All right. Am I allowed to do one bad Berube? Like,
yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yes.
All right. Am I allowed to say a thing?
Here it is.
I already mentioned that the competition thing, right? With yesterday, like your whole thing was competition and accountability. And I'm really feeling that with the guys on the fringes of the roster, like
big time.
Okay, cool. Philip Myers gets a game because he had an awesome preseason. Good for him.
Preseason was 2.5 weeks ago, boys. Yeah, if you're going to give him a game, give him game 2.
I will say this. I'm not really fully up to date. Like the Myers thing caught me off guard. I didn't look into it. I was just like watching. I was watching college football all day.
Yeah, I get it, buddy. It caught me off guard too. I was like,
I haven't looked into like why Liljegren didn't play. So I'm prepared to be wrong on this. But it's like Bobby McMann makes a really bad mistake and he gets like taken off the line immediately. And I will say too, like I think part of it was because they were killing so many penalties that Tavares wasn't really getting any ice time. Yeah. And I think he only finished with like maybe 13,
just 14. Over 14.
Okay, yeah. 14. So anyway, I think part of it was just to try to get Tavares going a little bit too, and you're chasing the game, whatever. I don't hate it, but I just don't give a crap about accountability and competition and all this stuff if you're just going to kind of do the move Sheldon Keefe did when he first came to the Leafs, which is load up the top six in every situation and put them on the ice as much as possible, and then hold the guys at the bottom of the roster like the Robertsons, the McManns, and taking Pontus Holmberg out and putting in Philip Myers. Like, it doesn't matter.
Like the exact same thing.
Yeah, I know.
It's kind of feeling like the exact same thing.
I just think if you're Berube, like, and you want to, if this is going to mean something, like, you got to do it out of the gate. Like, you can't let this go on for a bunch of games and then midway through the season be like, okay, well, now I'm doing it. It's like, oh no, you're supposed to be doing it right rip, brother. So I don't know. I got to tell you, out of the things that I've been most shaken about, because you can't shake me about the core four guys. Like, I've seen it all,
I was born in the fire.
Yeah, the thing that's got me most shaken in terms of what I was optimistic about after that Tampa game and through the beginning of the season was like the feeling of like the Berube accountability and the guys playing Berube hockey. And then all of a sudden he and Savard are just like going right to the Sheldon Keefe playbook on everything. And I'm like, what's happening here? So when Riley came out for the power play, I honestly laughed. I was sitting on my couch, bro, and I chuckled. I was like, no way.
I know.
That was my reaction to it. This is your change, is like you put 44 back with him. And again, he played a good game tonight. I'm not trying to rip on Riley, but God, man, just you got to do it. You got to do the ballsy thing, like right rip. I don't know. That's just, anyway, that's all I'm going to do.
You're letting it fester too long.
Yeah, that's
You're letting it fester too long, and you're letting these guys believe it's the same thing.
Yeah.
And they're believing it. Like, I mean, what you said, Matthews played 24 minutes tonight.
Yeah.
We used to come on here and be like, that's way too much with Sheldon Keefe. And it's just way too much. It's the regular season. Why is he playing 24? And he got caught out there for 2 minutes in overtime. I understand it, but like, it's just too much hockey.
Even the PK looks best with Marner and Matthews right now. I'm like, I guess that works. Like playing Marner and Matthews the whole time together, the whole game, every shift, these two guys over the boards. All right.
What's going to be left of them?
Yeah.
Like you're gonna get to the playoffs, and these guys will be like, "I'm tired, boss. Like, I got nothing left to give. I've been playing 30 minutes a night, killing penalties, power plays, like every big situation. There'll be nothing left of them."
Anyway, I actually really like Berube the guy, and I love the idea of Berube and what he's meant to stand for in so many different ways. And so it kills me to share this thought, but I've in quiet moments, I've been sitting with it and it's been there, and I had to let it out. I had to leak it.
No, dude,
I had to say, I'm sorry. I'm done with it now though. That's all I'm going to say.
No, but you're right. It's the idea of it. Yeah. And I loved what it represented. And I loved what I heard from him when he got hired, and just his presence and just everything about it. Like, I love the idea of it. And
but then you remember it's 2024 and that what Kipper said on your show. I saw the clip the other day going around of him just saying, what Matthews wants is Matthews going to get. And that was that. And I went, oh yeah.
Please. Maybe we should have just kept Sheldon then. No, just run it back.
I just slammed the beer can on the table, flattened it, and did the Russ Cole line. Just went right with it. Anyways,
I know.
Anything else for you from this game? I got nothing else. I'm good.
Yeah, those Bruins jerseys, bad memories. They went back to the old ones, eh? Like they had like the Centennial ones last year. At least still lost to them in that, but it felt like a different team. Them wearing those jerseys. Yeah.
You're such a sweaters guy. I never pick up on stuff like that.
Yeah. It was
you could have said that. Give me a million guesses. Like about like, hey, notice the Bruins jerseys, and I'd be like, the Bruins wore their jerseys that night.
Well, no, because they went to the black one and the black shoulders last year. They were all black, right? And then they put the yellow shoulders. And it just reminds me, you see whoever it was that shoveled it into the net. I still don't know who scored it, but it's on that net, and you just get visions of Patrice Bergeron skating out towards center ice and screaming after scoring. Like it gives me bad memories, those jerseys, and they went back to them. I was going to go on here and be like, yeah, Marchand is not what he used to be. And then he scored the overtime.
Yeah. I had that
thought in my mind. And like, even remember that playoff game where he scored the high check? I was like, he's not even the same guy.
I was just going to say, like, you keep doing it. And I guess one of these days he'll retire, bud. So good for you. Like,
yeah, just retire.
Yeah.
Just quit. Just like Patrice. Go join your boy Patrice. Quit.
I was going to say, it's literally your number one take is if I put together like the Mount Rushmore of McKee takes, Marchand is washed would be absolutely in the top four.
Okay. This is more like I watched a lot of the Bruins and Dallas the other night. I really did, because it was like on across from Leafs, so I was flicking back and forth, and it's just they play differently against Leafs. They're just playing so much harder and so much better and so much more organized. It's like that's just such a factor in this matchup, is the fact that they completely own the Leafs, and they just play like they're not very good. Like, look at that team. Like, is that a great team to you? No, I think they're an average NHL team, probably a playoff team, borderline, like, you know, a top 3 in the division, maybe a wild card team.
I just don't care, honestly, bro.
But they just own the Leafs.
I just don't care about this take. Like, it's like
they do. They play so much harder against the Leafs.
I know.
No question.
Heard this from everybody for the last God knows how many years. Like, oh, the Bruins stink. They're just no good. And it's like they beat the brakes off the Leafs every time. I'm like, okay, well, I don't really care.
And never win, and don't win anything out. Like, they've won a few playoff rounds. They went to the final against the Blues, lost. But like they've only, they won one at the start. Yeah. They've had a lot of
all they've done is like go to the cup and is like running the hottest team. Yeah.
I'd kill.
I was gonna say once, like what the Leafs have done
for one of those.
I was gonna say, like, it's just I can't imagine being a Bruins fan and hearing this from us, like where it's like, and they're not even that good. It's like, okay. I hate this quote. I'm gonna read it.
Okay.
Berube, we had a 5-on-3, and I mean, there was 2 empty nets, and we just don't put them in. But it will come. I'm confident in this team, and they'll get it going. Again, this is like whatever. He's playing the patient route, but all right. Sounds like what you could have said.
Like if you honestly, I wish I was good with Photoshop, because I would do the Scooby-Doo thing where it's like he pulls off the thing and it's like Berube. It's like, it was Keith all along. Those kids, it was Keith all along. Like, I really wish I was good at Photoshop. I wish Jobo was listening, our old producer, Josiah Bosch. Put that together for me, brother. Give me the clout.
Even with the Matthews one, like, you can't really bury Matthews. I get it, but he's like, we got to support him a little bit better on that play. We left him alone there. It was a mistake by everybody out there. It's just like, yeah, but mostly him.
It was a boneheaded play. Like, he's a captain. You got to be better. Like, you're the captain. Can't throw it in the middle of the ice with Marchand and Pasternak bearing down on you. Yeah. And like the quote up higher. I know we got to go here, but Matthews like,
wrap it up.
I thought somebody was coming back. And then as I went to pass it, I looked up and that wasn't the case. Maybe look up before you pass it. That's just a thought.
Sure. Anyway, I'm salty and I just want to go watch baseball. I'll be happier if the Yankees just get pumped and then they get swept. And then
Yankees are looking feeble, and they had maybe the most heartbreaking thing ever happen to them last night, which was great. Good hang last night, bud. Good. And
I got to point at a Yankees fan right in his face as the home run happened. It was so sweet watching him pack up his stuff and watch his friends, clearly embarrassed to be with him, laugh with me as I dropped the point on him as the ball went over the fence. God, what a moment for Canadian Freddie Freeman. Anyway, subscribe to this podcast, leave 5 stars. It really helps us out, helps people find the show, helps it grow, all those different things. Hit the thumbs up on YouTube. Share it with a friend, share it on socials, do all those things, and we will see you Monday against, Sneaky Rival.